Welcome to episode 266 of Control the Controllables. And this is our US Open Review 2025, brought to you by Novellus. We've got our trustees back in Freddie, Nielsen, Candy Reid, and also Calvin Betton. We do miss you, Kieran Vorster, but I think four of us is enough. And then we have the winners of the women's doubles. Very special one for me as someone who has coached the girls over the last couple of years in Erin Routliffe and Gaby Dabrowski. An incredible run in New York and in Cincinnati, where they took the title as well. You might want to forgive me for my voice. I'm a little bit tired. It's been a busy summer. It's been an incredible summer. I've had a smile on my face now for days, and I'm just so proud of those two amazing women that just show that anything really is possible. And I'm delighted to say they join us. So listen out for that. And also listen out, Freddie Nielsen's been one of my good friends for many years, but he does have a bit of a lack of trust in me and my selection on who was going to win the women's title. So look out for that. And if anyone did listen to the preview, maybe you can write in and prove Freddie wrong. As ever, it's a great laugh. Love having these guys on the podcast, and a big thank you to all of them, as ever, for their time that they give to Control the Controllables. I'm sure you're going to love this one. I'm going to pass you over to our US Open review panelists. So big welcome to our US Open Review 2025 panelists. We have Candy Reid with us right now, and Freddie Nielsen and Calvin Betton will be joining us shortly. How are you doing, guys?
Very well, thanks, Dan. Congratulations.
Yeah, very well, Dan. Congrats on a good US Open.
It was all a little bit mad. It's all, and I was just saying there off air, just like yourself, Candy, getting back from the States after a long summer. My head's hit the pillow and it hasn't left the pillow much the last couple of days. So I apologize if my mind's a little bit slow. It had nothing to do with that champagne going down my neck.
No. No change really, Dan,
afternoon.
either. I don't think anyone's going to notice.
Well, there you go. I was even slow to pick that up, Candy. This is, I wasn't even ready. And Freddie, to throw it to you first as well. You are down the road from me right now. As you're preparing for the big Davis Cup tie. Is there any hot news? I saw Carlos Alcaraz was on a lot of TV stations in America today, so that makes me think maybe he's not going to be playing in Punta Romano on Friday.
Yeah, it's nice to be in your neck of the woods. I don't care about Friday as long as he doesn't play on Saturday. No, that's fine. Yeah, he is not going to play. He's pulled out, and so has Davidovich Fokina. So that obviously changes the complexion a little bit that the world's best player is not here. But it's a cliche, but it really is. It's still a very difficult tie, even though we have the best player in the tie for us. I hear it's sold out. We spoke about that before. There's actually a lot of Danish people here, and randomly on Saturday, one of the biggest pop bands duos of recent time is giving a concert here. So there's going to be so many Danish people here. It's really random. So I don't even know how that came about.
A Danish band.
Yeah.
Oh, Freddie, you organized that. You've got some power.
Yeah, but the biggest, probably the most popular pop duo over the last 20, 30 years or something. They're coming to
Charles and Eddie? What they're called? Charles and Eddie? Or what's the names?
Charles and Eddie actually recorded their biggest hit in Denmark, funnily enough. But no, their names are Nick and Jay.
And that's the name of the band?
Nick and Jay. It's Nick and Jay, two guys.
So that's the hot ticket on Saturday. I might take my family to that rather than the tennis on Saturday. So, Calv, perfect time. The music man, Nick and Jay, the Danish duo. Have you ever heard of them?
Never heard of them. Never. Have a look. I don't think I've got.
You missed the beat.
Don't think I've got.
They only perform in Danish, I believe.
Talking of rock bands before we do jump a bit more into tennis. Yes, it was an amazing US Open and had lots of great experiences, but I'm not sure I had a better experience than Oasis in New Jersey.
What, you went to see
the middle weekend? We got some tickets. Calvin said, I can't believe you got tickets. Can't believe you got tickets. I've been trying to get tickets for the last few days. Mm-hmm. He said, have you ever seen them? I said, I've never seen them before. I said, what about you? He went, yes, 7 times.
No, I said, 8.
I'll trump you with Lady Gaga at Madison Square Garden, Kiernan.
Did you do that over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Amazing. I can't have Lady Gaga above Oasis. I'm sorry.
I agree. By the way, guys, this is a great tennis podcast. I'm really enjoying this.
Whatever happens in the conversation today, this is going to come back to Denmark somehow. There's very... Freddie's there. He's ready for the Davis Cup. He's patriotic. And unfortunately for you, Freddie, we can't bring the tennis in New York back to Denmark because the Danes didn't quite have the tournament that they'd hoped to have. But I do want to start, Candy, and there's one place to start and one place to start only. He's 23 years old and he now has 6 Grand Slams to his name. My daughter last night, as the match started...
Is he not 22?
He might even be 22. He's not even 23. He's under 23. And my daughter last night said at the start, in the first 2 games, she went, oh my goodness, I've never seen him look so locked in. There's no way he's losing this match tonight. And I was very proud of her observation, actually, because it did look like that. But he had this locked in way about him, but he still had the smile on his face, looked unbelievably confident, hardly dropped serve the whole fortnight, dropped 1 set, I believe, only had to save 10, faced 10 break points in the whole tournament. Carlos Alcaraz, we're witnessing history, we're witnessing greatness, just quite incredible.
61 and 6 is his record this year. 61 wins, 6 defeats, and he's not going to be 23 until next May. It's bonkers, isn't it? I think it was the haircuts.
But even the way he handled that, he handled that with just a smile on his face, and there was no freak out. He the confidence that he showed, and I think last night it didn't look for a second he was going to lose that match last night.
Did you see? You were talking about the US that the Sabalenka and Alcaraz were on this morning on US news television, and Sabalenka introduced him almost as Yannick, and then she kind of went, "Oh no!" and he had the biggest giggle. Like, he absolutely thought it was hilarious. He's just a great personality, isn't he? And he's so good for tennis.
Now, before we carry on talking, about that men's singles nonsense,
forget about that.
We have 2 very special guests, 3 very special guests. This was quick.
Which one's the most intelligent?
A big welcome to Erin Routliffe and Gaby Dabrowski. They're now 2 times US Open women's doubles champions. Girls,
congrats, girls.
Thank you.
Amazing effort. And who's the little chap or little girl? I think it's a chap.
No, this is Grayson. This is my best friend's bub, my nephew.
Oh, hello, Grayson.
Is it his first podcast?
Look at his eyebrows.
And he's easily the most handsome.
I told Erica I'm going to make him famous. I said Dan will love if I brought him on the podcast.
He is gorgeous.
Well, you have to mind our P's and Q's now. Grayson's on. No swearing, everyone.
Well, I'm his aunt, so don't worry.
Girls, I'm gonna pass you over to the panel because I couldn't ask all these questions. I've asked you enough questions over the last 2 years. So you're gonna be saved from me, and I'm gonna pass you over to the guys. They're gonna fire at you, and I'm sure talk about that incredible experience in New York.
Sounds good.
Freddie, do you want to go first?
Yeah, obviously the most important question is, how do you celebrate?
Gaby, I'll leave that to you.
We celebrated well. We had a beautiful dinner. It was like a per person course type thing. So it was kind of like fancy sushi, and then it was like beautiful, lean, like a filet mignon or something. It was really good. They had like shrimp, edamame, and like really good chocolate dessert and donuts. So we enjoyed that. And we went to a bar after just for a little bit of dancing and conversing. Got back to the hotel probably like, I don't know, 2 a.m. or something. I did anyway.
Well
Erin?
done, well
Oh,
done.
da da da.
It was fun. It was perfect. We wanted to
So
go
we
out
had,
Excellent.
last 2 years ago. We didn't get to celebrate, so it was nice
yeah.
to like get to celebrate, and everyone was there. It was like it was perfect, honestly.
Yeah, I think the fact that like so many people stayed and wanted to celebrate out with us was really cool. And then some of our friends, Erin's friends, organized the dinner and the bar and stuff. So it just made it easy on us. And we just had to show up.
I
Nice.
think there
Nice.
was the big advantage of a 12 o'clock final as well.
Yeah.
Like having been part of, I know when the girls played in the Wimbledon final last year, the match finished at 11 p.m. and it ended up with a few beers in the gym, in the Wimbledon gym, which, and take away McDonald's at 3:30 in the morning, which is nothing wrong with that either. But the fact that by 2:30 p.m. somebody was chucking champagne down my neck.
Yeah.
That was. We will put a picture on after the podcast goes out to kind of prove that point.
Some cover
You can
video.
do a poll. You can do a poll and say, who do you think got the most intoxicated on the team of Gaby and Erin? Do that.
And they will never guess.
They'll never know. They'll never guess. They'll never know.
That's excellent. But that's good to hear you celebrated well. So I guess the more potent question from a tennis point of view is, why do you think it went so well for you guys in this tournament?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. I think, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard. I think we've had, honestly, besides the last like month a bit, I think we'd both say that we've had like a pretty average year for our standards. I would say we had a good Aussie Open, obviously dealing with injuries and stuff, but I think we've always kind of stayed true to like committing to our process and committing to like sticking together and believing that we can win against anybody in any big match. I make the joke all the time that we're game time players, but yeah, I don't know why exactly like it just like clicked at US Open. It's a good place. We like obviously love playing there. It's chaotic. There's always like energy. Having all our people around like a huge team to support us is always quite helpful. Tennis wise, I don't know. We've made a lot of first serves and we made a lot of returns. So I'd say that.
Pretty important in doubles, I'd say.
Yeah, totally. Well, I like to like look at stats between sets, and I'll like look up at the stats like at the screen, and I'll be like, hey, like good to know that we can hold serve without like hitting that many first serves. Because I think after our first serve in the final was like 59. Do you remember, Gabs? I was like, that's not that good, and we're still holding like pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay, we're good. No worries.
Fair point.
When you were playing, because you two get involved in some pretty rough situations, like as like, did it feel weird that you were just in a pretty comfortable match?
Yeah. A little bit. No, I was like, are we playing really well or are they not playing that well? I think Erin's playing really well. I think I'm playing fine. I was like, okay, with the serves going in and the returns being missed, I'm like, okay, that seems too simple. But I was like, whatever, point by point, I'll take it. Yeah, it actually didn't feel super different to the final 2 years ago, just in the sense that I felt like for myself, I was very present the whole way through. I had small blip when I took a tumble at the end of the first set. But after that, it felt just like normal tennis to me. It felt almost like we were playing like a practice match and doing all the right things and things were going in our favor. Even the last point, like Erin's sick, or last 2 points, Erin's sick, like backhand inside out, and then like my lob landing on the line. It was like, okay, that's a great way to end it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it looked like, for a Grand Slam final, it looked pretty. Obviously, it wasn't stress free. You're playing Grand Slam final, but
Sure.
it looked pretty, pretty straightforward.
And the semis as well. So it was kind of four
Yeah.
sets in a row, really, like that.
Yeah, maybe you just needed to get that 6 love set out of the way.
I'm telling you, 6-love sets are cursed.
They are. That is so true. If we're ever at 5-love, I always am like, we need to lose a game. No, I'm just kidding.
But I do think, just to jump in here, and this to link this probably to the men's singles we were just talking about, a Grand Slam, and look, Calv, you've been a part of two winning Grand Slam runs in the last 18 months. Freddie, you were part of the 2012 Murray Nielsen incredible run, and it's never straightforward, or it's very rarely straightforward. You tend to always have to overcome some adversity of some type, and that's also why anybody can also lose in a Grand Slam in the first round, or the second round. And I would actually argue with Erin and Gaby that almost the most impressive statistic they've got of the last 2 years is they've made the quarterfinals or more of every Grand Slam they've ever played together, because there is so many things that can go wrong. And obviously the quarterfinal match, and we do have a question, we've got a couple of questions that have come in, and I'll maybe throw this to you, Gabs, but they did mention that the quarterfinal match, you were 6-love down. How did you guys come back from that position? And it was actually 6-love 2-1, 15-40 on your serve as well. Are we just putting it down to a curse? Poor Stefani Babos winning a set 6-love, or what happened in that moment?
You can't win a slam without a couple mental breakdowns. That's what I always say.
Absolutely.
That's a good saying.
That's 100% true.
No, really. I mean, okay, we lost the set 6-love, but I think we actually did we have a chance to make it 5-1 in the first set? Because we came back from 5-love down in the first set in Cincinnati in our first round. So when we were down 5-love, I wasn't super worried. I thought, okay, we're not playing super sharp. They're playing super well. Let's see if we can sharpen up, and let's see if their level drops. So I was like, it's going to take a lot for them to maintain how well they were serving, how well they were returning, how crisp their volleys were. So I was kind of like, okay, yeah, it sucks to be down by this much, but at the same time, I was more curious of is it going to continue? And then I think we pulled a couple shots out of our ass, and then we were able to turn the match around. But I mean, it was tough. It was a tough day, playing a bunch of days in a row, which we don't often have at slams in that way. A little bit of lull, in the energy. But I thought we did well in the second set, even though we could have been down by a lot. I think we did a good job of fighting back. I thought we really did. We could have easily lost that match 0-2, and we didn't.
I used to always feel like when I played slams that with the scoring system, you always felt like you had more time to come back because you have the regular scoring and you have a regular third set. And I always felt like, okay, it's not as big a deal because you have time to play your way back in the match. I don't know if you feel the same way.
For sure. I love normal scoring. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Better for slow starts.
Just lull. Erin just likes to lull people in. It's the one. This is a question from myself, just to jump that, because I haven't heard your on-court interviews yet. But I guess just for the listener, you guys were approached by US Open a couple of days before the semi-finals, to say, look, we've got an opportunity here from ESPN to talk to you, to ask the winners after the first set a question. You don't have to do it, but would you like to do it? And I know you guys happened to win the first set in the semi-finals and the final. Erin,
yeah,
I did hear an interview from yourself saying that you messed up the first one. I haven't heard that, and I don't believe for 1 minute you could mess up an interview. But how did you? I guess, why did you guys say yes to that first and foremost, and secondly, how was that experience? We even talked about as a team that maybe it actually could be quite a good experience to help reset your mind almost at the end of a first set.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer why we said yes. I talked to Eric Buderak, I think over the middle weekend, and he was like, "Look, this is a possibility that broadcast wants to implement. What do you think about it?" And I was like, "I mean, I think it's good. I don't really have anything against it. So yeah, why not try?" He said, "You have the choice of opting out, but probably wouldn't be ideal because broadcast as kind of going out on a limb and trying some innovative strategies to try to give doubles more exposure. So I was like, okay, cool, sounds good. And we used to do like the like on-court coaching stuff anyway, so I feel like that used to be broadcast anyway. So for me, it wasn't like super foreign that like someone could be talking to you on a changeover and it could be public, you know, like I was like, okay, it doesn't seem too out of pocket. But I thought I would like to know actually how tennis fans received it, how doubles fans received it. Did they find it valuable? Did they find it interesting? Is that something they would want to see again? Because I think for us we handled it well. I mean, Erin says that like she didn't answer the question well, but she did. She was like, she caught herself and then she answered it really well the first time in the semis. So like it wasn't a big deal at all. And yeah, I would do it again. I don't have an issue with doing it. And I agree with you, Dan, that it was a good time for like a little mental reset. You're like, because they're asking a good question of like, what are you going to focus on at the beginning of this second set? And I'm like, yeah, what are we going to focus on? I was like, that's a good question. It's almost like you're coaching me. Thanks. Like, so
You're fired, Dan.
Now's a good time to go. It's all good, you know. The champagne bottle in hand, you know, that works.
Go out
There
on a
is
high.
there is a couple of people on Instagram that have said they loved it. That was one of the questions that came in. You know, they
Okay.
said they love to hear from you guys at the end of a set, and I think it adds a nice, you know, ultimately it's giving visibility, right? We talk about this all the time. And this is my last thing I want to talk to you guys about. And let's see if the panel want to jump in as well. But we talk about the product is amazing. Like I sat back watching. There was a moment in that match, and I was genuinely detached from the outcome of the match because I said it to you before the match. I had complete trust in you guys. I really did. You know, there was moments during the tournament maybe I didn't, but in the final, I did. I know you guys well. I knew you were prepared, and I was sat back with all of the kind of carnage going on around us, and I was like, oh my god, this is good tennis, you know. However, when the tennis got really good, the scoreline was going a little bit against you. So that was, you know, and you guys did a good job to turn that around once they brought it back to 3-all. But the product is not the issue, right? The marketing, the visibility, the getting to know the individuals, the building of the profile, the understanding personalities and connecting with personalities. These are all the things, and that's just a little thing there that we get to connect to. You know, just as we heard Sabalenka saying last year in Riyadh that all the fans love me ever since I've gone on TikTok. You know, that's kind of was the change of her kind of stardom that she's put in place. So that brings me to the mixed doubles event, which was obviously a big success in many, many ways. Someone did say to me after the final, it was amazing that all 4 finalists mentioned women's doubles and people watching, but maybe they missed a trick on not putting a bit of pressure on the US Open on the mixed doubles for next year. So I'm going to give you a platform and an opportunity to put your pressure on now. You know, mixed doubles, what happens next year? How do you want to see it develop, and how much do you want to be part of it?
Gaby, you answer first. Everyone say bye to Grayson. He's too squirrely.
Bye, Grayson.
Bye,
Bye.
Grayson.
Love your PJs.
Fair. I mean, could have taken the opportunity during a speech to mention mixed doubles, but at the same time, I wanted to kind of make a point of highlighting the importance of creating and maintaining a partnership with the US Open, you know, thanking them for partially, you know, an innovative approach to doubles, but at the same time, ensuring that we would work together in the future. So that's kind of all I wanted to say in the moment after the match. But I mean, I agree. I do think there needs to be an adjustment to the entry system for the mixed doubles. I'm fine with, you know, singles players and singles only teams. That's fine. But I do think that you need to give top doubles players a chance to play, or teams who have earned their right to play, whether you make it sort of a race throughout the year that like teams who do well in Australia, French Open, Wimbledon have a crack at US Open and have it kind of be like a culminating mixed doubles event with like a lot of prize money. Or if you want to mix like a singles player and a doubles player together. But I'm always more of like you gain entry with merit versus an entry being handed to you. So I would prefer a spot being earned than given. So yeah, I would definitely like to see a different type of approach for the coming years in the mixed doubles.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it's kind of the same as Gabby's. Like we just want, like, we don't mind playing against singles players. It's awesome if they want to play. I think we just want the opportunity to play ourselves. And it was just a bit crazy that, like, no matter how many slams, matches, whatever we won, like we could have been ranked number 1 in the world and we would have had no chance to even really be a part of it, which I think is the frustrating part for us because we have no control. Yeah, I mean, like Gabby said, like, to be entered with merit would be great and perfect, and that's we just all want an opportunity to play and to show what we can do against, doubles players, singles players, whatever. Because at the end of the day, we're all doing this because we love tennis and we work so hard and we want to show what we can do. And so the fact that we weren't even allowed an opportunity to do that, I think, was the most frustrating part. I think as far as like the speeches at the end, it's hard to like say something about it when they're handing you a check for $1 million. Do you know?
I didn't come into it.
You can't just be like, oh my God, like, because they upped doubles prize money a lot, especially in like the later parts of the tournament. So you're like, obviously we're so grateful for that. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's hard to be like, oh, like, thank you, but like also like wish I could have played mixed doubles, like blah blah blah. Like, you were not really thinking of that. But yeah, I think that's the only thing that I was personally frustrated with. And the fact that people kept asking about it, like just leading up to it and in the months prior, because it was something people were talking about it, and it's like we just have no control. Like we can't get in no matter how many matches we win, no matter how many slams we win, blah blah blah. So like we're like, okay, that's it, So that was tough.
The one thing, and that I just want to jump on the back of that, I love the idea of this race, because one of the things I've said for a long time about mixed doubles, and I actually think it's why Aryna Vavasori got the opportunity. And I think it was Eric said it to me. Siniakova, Aravello, who signed up, yes, they were both world number 1, but they don't have any history. They've got no brand. There's no to get like, whereas Vavasori and Aryna had created something like that over the couple of years before, and I do think there's a really nice opportunity for some of the mixed doubles teams to grow that brand. Calv?
I mean, I think I'd strongly disagree with him on that, because it's a sport. It should be a meritocracy. You can't be letting people in based on what their brand is. Like, I just don't agree with that at all. Like, I think that there should have been more doubles players in there, but it should have been based on merit. And Siniakova and Aravello at the time were number 1 in the world, both of them. They should get in on that. That's their brand. Their brand is they're really, really good at playing tennis. Like, this stuff about story. I'm just not buying that from Eric.
What do you think about maybe having a race, Calv, next year?
You can do that, but I don't.
And almost like the top 8 mixed doubles teams of the first 3 slams gain entry then into US Open, which is this mega master event.
I don't really care how they do it, whether it's like a race like that or whether it is based on doubles ranking. I think it should be 50-50 if they want to do it that way. I really have a problem with the format in general, to be honest, still, but not from a financial point of view. Somebody told me yesterday, which I didn't realise, that the actual doubles increases were the same amount as went into the mixed doubles last year. So in theory, the money went in from the mix went into the men's and women's doubles. So financially, I think you could argue the other way, that everything else went up anyway, so it had to go up regardless of that. But there has to be some meritocratic entry system into anything if you're going to call it. If there's not a meritocratic entry system, it's an exhibition. There's no other way of doing it. This was an exhibition. I'm really glad that Vava and Sarah won it, but it was an exhibition. They were the only team really that was in on merit because their wild card was based on winning it last year. It's an exhibition unless they change that. It should be. I get why they want the singles pairs in. It should be 50-50 though. And you can't have this stuff about they don't have a brand. I mean, it's the most American thing I've ever heard. That.
That was awesome.
There's no Americans in here, is there?
No.
Grayson?
It's not even a criticism. It's not a criticism. It's such an
Canadian, don't
it's such
worry.
an American thing to say. Something like Don Draper would say, isn't it?
Before we let Erin and Gaby go, have you guys got anything else for them?
I've got a question. A question for each. All right, Erin, you first. Your wildest night at the University of Alabama. And while you're thinking of this, Gaby, you've got Dan Kiernan for 12 hours, just you and him one day. What do you do? The 3 things that he would absolutely hate from that day. So I'm thinking manicure, Barbie movie, kind of on that theme. Okay, Erin, you go first, please.
June movie.
Tough. I really like to party in college. Like
I know,
like to,
which is why I'm asking you this.
I don't know the actual like details of the night, obviously, because that's
Great
hard
night
to remember. But I do specifically remember that I called so I went out and went to like damn like this Waffle House at whatever time, let's say 3 a.m. and I left I left my wallet at Waffle House, or like someone took it, I lost it, I don't know. Sometime like I lost my wallet, and so then I had to call my dad the next morning and be like, hey, I need your help. Like I need to like cancel my cards, I need to get like a new passport, like I need to do all this stuff. And he was like, how did that happen? And I was like, oh, I just like went to breakfast, and I went to Waffle House for breakfast, and like someone took it or something. And he was like, for breakfast, like Waffle House, like so confused and like just perplexed by his like 19-year-old daughter. And I was like, oh shoot, that means I was underage drinking. Whoops. Sorry, America. And
Coach Jenny is not listening. Don't worry.
And yeah, like we laugh about it now because he literally was like, oh, I knew that you like went out and like lost your wallet and I had to do all this thing for you, but I just lied. I don't know. I was like so embarrassed. I don't remember exactly what happened. I know it involved Waffle House and partying.
All right, Erin, your turn. The 3 things that Dan would just hate the most in a 12-hour day.
Quickly, before Gaby jumps in, why we're laughing at Waffle House when they won Cincinnati, got all the options in the world with their newfound wealth of winning a Masters 1000, and we went to Waffle House. That's
disappointing.
That was where we ended up on that occasion, and it was very good.
Honestly, it was so fun.
And Erin, don't worry, I got your dad on the rum and cokes the night after the final in New York, so I got him a hangover back for you. So
yeah, he was feeling that.
He lost his wallet. He needs some help, Erin.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like I could tell you so many things that Dan would love, things that he would hate.
3 things that you'd hate, absolutely hate.
Staying in a hotel that doesn't have a gym.
Okay.
I think. Because he's been going to the gym like twice a day, so I feel like he'd be pissed if he couldn't go to the gym. I don't know if that's like fully true or he just says
you weren't
it,
expecting that, Candy, were you?
No, I was not.
I think a lack of effort and intentionality in practice.
Oh my gosh, this is very serious. I was kind of thinking you'd go somewhere much more fun. There's Gaby, here we go. Okay, number 3.
And also, a long movie. Dan hates long movies. No, he doesn't hate them. He just falls asleep, so it's pointless to watch them.
Okay. All right, thanks, Gaby.
And very frustrating. Very frustrating as someone who loves long, detailed movies. When I have to keep elbowing him to stay awake.
He's not going to go and watch Where the Crawdads Sing or anything like that.
This is jet lag related, Candy.
Okay. Fair enough.
Girls, thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you.
No worries.
Well done, chaps.
Yeah, and congrats again.
I hope you're still celebrating.
Oh, thanks. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks so much. And Grayson, thank you as well.
Gaby's
out of the show. Take care. Okay. Well done, girls.
Bye.
All right, Dan, you can tell us now the real truth. What's the 3 things that you absolutely would have hated to do? Would you go to have a manicure?
I've got daughters.
So the answer is no.
Do you know what I mean? I've got 2 daughters. You know, I wouldn't mind a manicure or pedicure, to be honest.
My phone died. I'm so sorry.
It was perfect timing, actually.
It was, but I was like,
timing.
oh my God, I didn't mean to just leave. So
Dan
thank
just
you.
had some breaking news. He just said he's no longer a part of your team, but you missed it. Oh, I've just revealed it. Oops, sorry.
Said I didn't mind a manicure.
Oh.
Gabs, well done. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks
Well
guys.
done,
Enjoy the
Gaby.
Yeah,
rest.
Gaby.
Bye.
Bye.
Gaby.
Bye. Now, before the girls rudely interrupted us, as lovely as it was to have them on, we were talking Carlos Alcaraz, we were talking Jannik Sinner, and I was about to throw it to you, Calv. I know that I've heard you many times on this podcast, I've heard you many times on your own podcast, saying it isn't a rivalry. You know, Alcaraz Sinner is not a rivalry. He basically does them pretty much every time, and once again, it's fallen into that category.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think it was a particularly good tennis match. I thought Alcaraz played pretty well. I thought Sinner was pretty bad. I think there's an eagerness. The Wimbledon final wasn't very good either. I personally had some heated discussions. I didn't think the French was that good. They have played great tennis matches. I watched them in Beijing last year. They played a great
was the
tennis.
one, yeah. That was
Yeah.
high level.
I think even did they play in Cincinnati? Am I right? Before that, might have been wrong.
5 love.
No, I mean the year before.
year.
That might have been
before.
Djokovic, and that might have been Djokovic.
Djokovic beat Alcaraz, I think, in that one.
Yeah. They have played great matches against each other. I think the spectacle and the hype has kind of gone to overload on it, and I think this wasn't a particularly good match. And I think now we want it so much, but I think the reason for that is, in my opinion, I've said this for a long time, that I think Alcaraz is quite comfortably a better tennis player than Jannik Sinner. I think he has more to his game. I think, and I said it yesterday, I think he has more ways to win than Sinner does. Fundamentally, there's 3 ways you can win a tennis point. You can hit a winner, you can force your opponent into an error, or your opponent can hit an unforced error. I think Alcaraz can win with any of those ways. I don't think Sinner can wait for Alcaraz to make an unforced error, so he's automatically taken a third of his ways off, because Alcaraz, if he knuckles down, he won't miss, whereas Sinner can't really play to not miss. He has more ways to win the points. Sinner can only go through Alcaraz. He can only go through the court. He doesn't have any real, he said it afterwards, he doesn't really have much in the way of variation. He does one thing very, very, very well, whereas Alcaraz has all these variations. He can use his sort of slices, his changes of direction. He can come to the net more effectively. He uses the width of the court so much better that when he can pull, I think Sinner is sort of cautious of that as well. He's cautious about taking Alcaraz into his forehand corner, because the minute he does that, then Alcaraz can whip off an angle out of nowhere. And Sinner, people have kind of over-egged, and I don't mean, this is not me being recency biased, and I'm not meaning to have a pop at Sinner. He's a phenomenal tennis player. He's been world number 1 for some time. He's won multiple slams. But he still, I saw somebody yesterday saying that these two are taking athleticism to a whole new level. No, they're not. Like Sinner's not taking athleticism to a whole new level. Sinner's not as good a mover as Djokovic or Nadal, or even, or certainly not Andy Murray or Federer or people like that. Alcaraz is an exceptional mover. There's no question about it. But I do think that, all things considered, that Alcaraz is comfortably a better tennis player than Jannik Sinner, and definitely a more complete tennis player than him.
But to your point, sometimes it can be a little easier. I completely agree with everything you said, but sometimes it's a little easier when you don't have that many options to choose from. And I feel like maybe at Wimbledon that it got too much mentally for Carlos, and I feel like obviously he got away a little bit with the French Open final. But it seemed like that the Sinner highway tennis just 101 was easier than for Carlos to always come up with the solution. It seemed like he had a really good, and I don't know what word to use, but analysis after Wimbledon to see, okay, what am I going to do to get back on track? And it seemed like he, like you said, he had many more options in his repertoire than Jannik, and that's what I always thought he had. But this time was the first time I picked Sinner over Carlos, because it felt like Like the Sinner train was just too much for Carlos to handle for some reason. I was really disappointed with Carlos in the Wimbledon final. And just one point too about your movement, I agree with you, but I think it's just because people are sliding on hard court that people didn't say, "Oh, the athleticism is through the roof." I completely agree. You never saw Roger really slide in that way, Andy, but they were unbelievable movers.
I think though, Freddie, I agree. I totally agree, and I think I'm not saying that Alcaraz will win every match. I think Sinner will win matches in this rivalry, but I think that I can see Alcaraz maintaining. I think he'll end up by the end of their career. He'll end up winning 2 out of every 3 matches that they play against each other. I just think that's the way. And it was interesting in Sinner's comments afterwards where he said he wants to add more variation to his game. That's not easy. You don't just like when you've developed this game. And what's interesting, what I do find interesting is I wonder whether he really has had a missed opportunity, because he's been, it seems critical to say it, but I do think it's true. He's quite a one-dimensional player, like in the way that he plays. But he had 3 months off where he could have worked on some of this variation. He must have sort of knew that I need this a little bit more variation, and he kind of didn't. He came back still very, very good. He's also, like, in terms of, he said, "Oh, I might have to lose a few matches." Now, he wins most matches very, very comfortably. If he wants to try things, he could have been trying it, and he's kind of not done. I don't think he's going to be as straightforward. I saw somebody on Twitter, I don't want to name names because I'm going to have a bit of a pop at them, but it's a Twitter tennis, I don't know if it's a journalist or not, and they said that something about Sinner saying he wants more variation, he wants to start serve volleying more. And this person goes, "There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do it." Well, there is. He doesn't volley very well at the top level. He puts volleys away, but that would be one of the reasons why that would be stopping him serving volleying. It's not just, I think we get in this habit of thinking these people are superheroes. And I do maintain as well, this is why I still think that these two, as it is right now, they're still not as good as any of the big 4 were. I will say not just the big 3, not even the big 4. Their matches that they play still have, I'm not sure about yesterday's, I didn't look at the final stats, the stats at the end of it, but it was the case for the majority of the match. But I know that Wimbledon did, and I know for sure the French Open did. They still have more unforced errors than winners in them. And that was never the case in the matches with that the big 4 played each other in the slams. There were always more winners than errors. We still get a lot of unforced errors out of these guys. They still don't have the full variation, the full skill set. Alcaraz is kind of getting there. I can see Alcaraz ending up with that kind of makeup. But I saw somebody describe Sinner, I forget who it was, one of the big commentators, described Sinner as a straight combination between Federer and Djokovic. I'm like, no. Like, he's not at all. Like, he doesn't do any of the things that, apart from he has a huge forehand. You could say that is comparable to Federer's forehand. But he doesn't. Sinner right now, I don't think does anything else as good as either of those 2 players.
So can I just to throw in there, and maybe anybody jump in on this, but the last 8 major titles, men's singles, have gone 4-4. Alcaraz, Sinner. Are we saying that the level below has dropped and is dropping? Is that what we're really saying here?
It's a bad era. You look at it and you go, who's the 3rd and 4th best players in the world now?
Well, it's Djokovic.
I think he's in the mix. I don't think.
4 semi-finals he's made this year in Grand Slam. So you've got to have Djokovic in the top 3 or 4.
I think he's in that level below them. Yeah, but I think it's a bad era. I really do, and I think it's troubling as well. I think we're kind of riding this wave at the minute where we can go, oh, it's going to be Sinner and Alcaraz, but that's going to get pretty boring pretty quick in terms of the tournament. I don't think the match will always be interesting when they play each other, but there's no jeopardy in this tournament. Nobody thought anyone was, and that can't be good for tennis, where you're having a 2-week. It's more than a 2-week now. These things are 15 days. They'll be 16 days long soon, where you already know what the final's going to be. Not only you know what the final's going to be, there's not even any close matches.
Alcaraz, I was in Ash for Alcaraz's first round match with my kids. I had the family there for a few days, and Alcaraz lost a total of 0 points on his serve in the set, and it was it was actually not so much impressive by Alcaraz, it was unimpressive by Opelka. You know, it was like, well, how he can't win this tennis match. He's not losing a point. He lost a point in the whole set. Like the difference, the level difference was just off the charts, really. And he didn't lose, obviously, a set. Didn't look even close. I got to the point where I wasn't watching the Alcaraz matches.
He had 2 6-love sets. So he beat Bellucci 6-love in the middle set and Dardari 6-love in the final set. In men's tennis, that's astonishing.
It is, yeah. It feels that Shapovalov against Sinner. I think it might have been Carl, maybe me and you. I don't know if me and you spoke about that, but I felt it was me and you. It was me and somebody who was saying maybe Shapovalov, maybe it was me and you, Fred, actually on the preview. You know, Shapovalov's maybe someone who can do something against Sinner, but we said maybe for a set. You know, and he did for a set, and then can't seem to maintain it.
Wasn't he 3-love up in the third as well?
I don't know.
I think that's right.
3-love up in the
It was a
third.
breakup.
It was a breakup in the third set.
And then lost
The
6
odd
on the
shot
cross.
maker.
Yeah.
I think there's a few who, like, you know, there's a few guys who you can see it's not. I don't think they're definite, but it's not unfeasible that they step up in the next year. I think, you know, Draper has a pretty good. I mean, he has a good record against Alcaraz, and I think he's 1-1 against Sinner. But again, he's out for the year now. I could see Mensik if he can get some consistency. He has the weapons. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy who is having winning records against these guys, but he's the kind of guy who they wouldn't really fancy playing in a quarter or a semi-final, probably. If he develops, that's not me saying that is the case right now. If he develops, but he's young and he's already winning Masters. We have the unknown as to what's going to come from Fonseca. I think he's still a bit off. He's still probably 18 months off being at that level, but I do think tennis kind of, it has a problem in it, in that we're going to see spectacles now, and that's the problem. I mean, it struck me when I went to see Fritz and Djokovic the other night. I went to watch it live, but I was going there thinking I wasn't really going to watch a tennis match. I was going to see, I've not been on Ash at night. I was going to watch a spectacle, and it struck me then halfway through it that at no stage on the drive there or through the day or watching the match did I ever expect Taylor Fritz to win the match. And that shouldn't really be a case on a sporting occasion that's that big. When we're talking about quarterfinals or last 16 quarterfinals of a Grand Slam, that shouldn't be the case where you're thinking I don't. And this guy's he's 4 in the world, and I don't see him having any chance of winning this match.
I think the tournament missed Ben Shelton, Candy. I think Shelton going out injured. I think there was Shelton. I think it was Shelton Alcaraz were due to play in the quarterfinals.
It's still, though, Dan, on that, though, it's still like there's that stat that goes round that Shelton, I think, he's had 10 set points in his career against Sinner, Djokovic and Alcaraz in slams, and he's never won one. Like, so we're talking about, I don't disagree, he's great, he's great for the tournament, he's great for the spectacle, but we're talking about someone who still has never won a set against any of these guys.
Yes, absolutely. If I'm brutally honest, I actually think he's the only one that's got a bit of X factor coming through. Obviously, Djokovic clearly has X factor because he's won 24 Grand Slams, but I think he's pretty much. It's pretty much gone now, hasn't it? It's going to be very difficult in his 39th year next year.
Holger has the X factor. He unfortunately doesn't have the base level to consistently get to the point where the X factor plays a big part yet, unfortunately. But he has the X factor. He plays tough matches against Carlos and Sinner. He quite comfortably beat Carlos in Barcelona. So I'm sure he's one of the guys they don't want to play. But unfortunately, he doesn't get in that situation to play them quite enough.
Well, and I don't, and he does. We've talked a lot about this, Freddie, but I don't think he earns the right for this in this conversation yet in Grand Slams. You know, I think if we're being brutally honest, you know, because he just isn't finding himself in the latter stages of the Grand Slams, you know, and until he's able to start doing that consistently, then I don't think he comes strong enough in that conversation. I do believe he has X factor, but I think Shelton is. I think Shelton's the one that's starting to put himself into those positions. Shelton for me has. He seems to have the bit between his teeth, and that's why I was so gutted that he was out injured, because you could see it. He's someone that's going to use the crowd. He's someone that feels like he he almost is celebrating in some way the history of the sport. He seems to get it. I think Shelton's showing more and more that he gets it. But I do think men's tennis needs a Shelton, needs a Rooney, needs these guys, a Draper, needs a Fonseca to come through to start putting. Because I would agree with Calvin, as much as I love Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner, at men's tennis, I think, does need to see those guys being put under more pressure than they're currently being put under, Candy.
Yeah, I think Ben Shelton is absolutely the one that's going to do it. I know Brian really well and Ben a little bit now, and they are working towards getting up there. I mean, he really believes he can win. Of course, he won the Canada Masters. And I think it was a really bad thing for the US Open on the men's side that he and Tiafoe went out on the same day. It was just a bit of a damp squid, wasn't it? But good that they had two women in the semis. And I think Anisimova will win a major soon. Calvin, I'd love to know from you, though. You said Sinner wasn't a great athlete, and obviously it's all relative. But the guy gets out of the backhand corner better, in my opinion, than anybody else. He's never out of balance. When I watch him, and I watched that Beijing final, like courtside, and every time I watch him, he's so incredibly balanced, and he's just never in the wrong position. So I'd love to understand why you think that.
Well, it's not just that way. It's tennis is a multi angled way, Candy, and I think you notice sometimes he gets his feet tangled up on some shots, and he can get out of there, and he's okay at it, although I do still think that's his weakness. That's where Alcaraz pinned him yesterday. That I think he found out that if he gets him deep into the backhand side, that Sinner can't hurt him out of there. That's not a major criticism. There's not many people who can hurt off a deep ball into their backhand. I think what we saw him there was he pinned him there and thought, I can just keep him there and then I can wait for my opportunity. But I'm talking at the elite level here. Is he an elite athlete compared to 99.9% of the people in the world? Absolutely he is. Is he an elite athlete compared to, say, Carlos Alcaraz, or even, like, for example, Felix Auger-Aliassime? He's not, no. And even compared to Djokovic, Nadal, Murray, Federer, he's not on their level of athleticism. But he is still, he's a good athlete. We're not talking about somebody who can't move.
Yeah, of course. No, it's relative.
I think what is going to be interesting now, though, as well, is that we're going into there's the Asian swing where I assume they'll both probably play Beijing and
no,
Shanghai.
That's not true. Sinner's playing Beijing and Alcaraz is playing Tokyo this year.
Oh, really? Right. Okay. Fair enough. Well, then then we've got. I expect them both to win those tournaments, obviously. And then we've got. Oh, you never know. Sinner might be like randomly trying to serve volley. Might be trying to play like Pat Rafter. But then after that, you're coming into really Sinner's real wheelhouse, which is the European indoors, and it's statistically, historically, the worst time for Alcaraz. So it maybe levels itself out a bit there, and then after that, you get into Australia, which is probably Sinner's strongest slam, all things considered. So maybe it balances itself out a bit.
Don't forget the sixth slam in Saudi.
Six Kings.
Six Kings.
Six Kings. Yeah.
Where Medvedev got paid $2 million for about an hour's work last year, was it?
Yeah. Weird that there's so many in that, being that we need to reduce the schedule, isn't it? For mental health reasons.
Reduce the schedule, but not the bank balances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so I think I can see there being some reverting back to Sinner a bit in that period in the indoor season. I mean, if Alcaraz starts winning the indoor matches at this rate, then you really have to sort of consider, like what I keep saying, is it really a rivalry?
And you mentioned Medvedev. I've got to jump in before we move on to Aryna Sabalenka. Yeah, we talked a little bit about this, Freddie, in the preview of the US Open. We also mentioned Tsitsipas, the kind of the 90s babies that were supposed to be carrying alongside Zverev. Tsitsipas fallen off a cliff, continues to. Was obviously back now with his dad in his corner. We haven't seen any change so far. And then Medvedev has finished his 8-year relationship with Giles. How do I say his name? He's Medvedev's coach.
Gilles Savara.
Gilles Savara, yeah. So and we've heard this week that he's starting with Thomas Johansson and also Rohan. Who's the second coach involved?
Rohan Götze.
Rohan
His name is.
Goethe, yeah, and also Thomas Johansson. But yeah, what's it going to take to get Freddie for you? What's it going to take to get Medvedev back to where he was a couple of years ago?
That's a good question. I mean, it seems like things. I don't know. It seems like things are not that easy for him to win points, and I don't know if people. If he was winning a lot of matches for a short brief period of time because he was really confident and in a good moment, and people were finding him awkward to play against, and that kind of strangeness has kind of gone away, and now people find him to be mundane and not dangerous to play against, and it seems like it's gonna be very difficult for him to win points easily. Yeah, maybe he just had a very brief time at the top. He's not the kind of guy where I see him come out just firing all of a sudden. I think he feels like it has to be very clean and very thorough, and it takes a lot of meticulous work to win his matches against, especially against the good guys. And the people have lost that kind of respect and are not scared of him. I think maybe he's just not dangerous enough. So I think he needs to find a way in order to come back to be more dangerous. Maybe finishing points a little bit quicker. Maybe take a page out of Sinner's book and start being more versatile. But I personally don't think it helps him standing that far back returning. I think it just from a mental point of view, that's part of his tactics is not that potent anymore. So obviously something needs to happen. I think in Danish would say he needs to shake the bag a little bit and find something else. And he's trying with a new coach, and maybe that's gonna do it for him. But I find it with the way the game is, he plays pretty flat, has long swings, doesn't seem to have that fast twitch that a lot of the young guys have. It feels like he might just be a little overpowered. So I don't know. I feel it's a tough one because he also doesn't have the hand skills to be slicing and dicing and coming in or finishing at the net. I mean, without criticizing too much, but he has one of the poorest volley on the tour. So I think it would take a lot of work for him to come back.
It hits me that when he was winning those events and winning US Open 21, he was serving big at that time. Like he was getting a lot of free points at that time. You know, when I watched him at US Open this year, it didn't feel like the serve was a potent weapon at all anymore, Calv.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Although I think he's never been a particularly accurate server, though, Kiernan. So I think that a lot of guys have kind of figured him out that he serves a lot of body, he serves fast, and he serves big, and it's got a lot of bounce. But you've got a lot of body, you're getting a racket on a lot of them. And I think a lot of guys have figured out if they can get the ball back, he's not a threat. Like if you can get the ball back to 3/4 court, he's not really a threat there, you know. And any of these top guys, if the ball's bouncing on the service line, they can finish balls on the service line. But even if you can get it back to 3/4 length, he's not really doing anything to you from there. So I think what's probably happened is that his serve might not have actually got worse, but what players are doing in terms of returning and their strategy when returning has changed a bit. I agree with what Freddie said almost entirely, or indeed entirely. I do think, and I've said this many times, I think Medvedev was a completely unique player. We don't get that very often in the game, but I don't think we've seen anything like Medvedev before. He's a guy who's 6 foot, what is he, 6'6" or 6'7" or something? He's 6'6", so he's a tall guy with a big serve, but whose game is based on standing 10 feet behind the baseline and not missing. That there's never been a player like that before, really.
Not a good one. I've seen a few at futures level that have tried that. But
I think in terms of like, you know, what the guys were facing, they kind of for 2 or 3 years they'd not really played anything like this before, and now I do think they've just figured him out, and I suspect I don't think we'll see him at the top of the game again. I think he'll probably have a solid career. You know, I think he'll be a top. I think he'll revert to being a sort of top 30 player, and I think that's what we'll kind of get. I don't really see what he's going to add, because like Freddie said, he doesn't really. It's not like you don't see players add loads at this stage in their career. Like I think he's 29 now. Like, he's not going to suddenly develop a sledgehammer forehand. It's going to be difficult for him to improve his volleys. You don't go from, at 29 years old, you can improve your volley a little bit. You don't go from being a bad volleyer to a good volleyer at that age.
You could go to the Yannick Sinner serve and volley clinic that we're going to do.
He could do that. I mean, he might be one of the only players.
Busy.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with him as well is, like, because when I said that earlier on that Yannick Sinner's, like, he's not a good volleyer, like, and then somebody, like, highlighted to me, oh, look at this volley he played yesterday. And, like, yeah, these players are talented players. They can occasionally use their hand skills to be able to pull something off. I'm talking about having a consistent, reliable volley when the volley is tough. Anybody can put volleys away, or any of these guys can put volleys away at shoulder height when they've hit a great approach shot. But I'm talking about hitting a volley from their ankles.
Like Alcaraz yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Alcaraz, to be fair, is a good volleyer, I think. I don't think he's like, he's not the level of, like, Henman or Edberg or McEnroe or even the next. I don't think he's as good a volleyer as Federer or Murray, but he's a pretty good volleyer, I think. In terms of Medvedev, I think I think we won't see him again challenging for slams. He can't challenge for two of them. The problem is he can't challenge for two. He won't challenge for the clay or the grass. He doesn't move well enough on it.
I think he and Rublev and Zverev have all been found out a little bit, given that they are allergic to the net.
I think the difference there, though, Candy, especially with Rublev, I think Rublev will maintain his place in the top 10 just because he's so good at what he does. He can hit the ball exceptionally hard from the baseline. He serves well enough. He returns well enough. And he's one of the players you get. Where you see the real top players, and I've always said this, is that they can finish balls from mid-court. If they're stood just behind the baseline, but the ball's there to be hit, they can still hit winners there. The level below that, they can't. And Rublev has the capacity to do that. I don't think Rublev will go on to challenge for slams either, but I think he will maintain that place in the top 10. He's still one of the top 10 players in the world. I don't think Medvedev is.
What about Zverev? Do you see him challenging again for a major title?
No, I don't think he'll win a slam. I actually think some players might find Zverev out sooner or later. They know that he has a beautiful backhand. There's no question about that, and he has a huge serve. His forehand, we've discussed it. Vozzy's not here. I'll say it again. I said it 15 months ago, and I got lambasted for it. His forehand is gunk. He cannot do anything with his forehand.
You just to clarify, so 71% of first serves in over the last 3 years.
Yeah, I mean that's an exceptionally high
first serve
percentage. Yeah,
that's not gunk.
No, his first serve is excellent, and he hits spots with it.
Do you have a stat there that shows that his forehand's gunk, Candy? So
it says first serve points 75%, backhand world class, forehand gunk.
I mean, what he does do, what he again, it's managing. So what he does is he's got to a place where he rarely misses any forehands. You rarely see him actually miss a ball off his forehand, but he can't do anything on it. He can't do anything.
Calv, I'm going to give you some credit. I remember you saying this, and I've quoted this, and so I've given the copyright to yourself. I always mention your name. I believe it was the French Open final, maybe a couple of years ago, and you said he can't win a Grand Slam if he's not able to hit forehand winners from inside the court. And there was that particular match. I can't remember who he played. It was a big match, whether it was a final or a semi-final. And that got shown up, and that hasn't been addressed, or if it has been addressed, it's not coming through. It's still very much an issue. I did hear the commentator say that he has been working on coming to the net more, and I think we did see at this US Open that there was some attempt. I have to give him that. There was some intent there that he was looking to come forward a little bit more, but it's going to take time, and it's very difficult. I always think this was Zverev. Zverev, from the age of 12, was told that he was world class, and it all came very easy to him. That's the world he lived in, and he then, I believe, developed this quite strong arrogance towards that. You're going to be the best in the world, and that carried him so far. But in some ways, that's also the devil for him now, because that's now a hard mindset to shift because we have to make changes. We have to show humility. And we have to be able to truly go, well, actually, this ain't good enough. This is not going to get me to there.
Yeah.
And we've got to feel quite a strong pain. Unless we allow ourselves to feel that pain and that humility, it's very difficult to make those changes. And I'm not close. I'm not in his team, so I can't say for sure. But it doesn't seem like he, up until this point, has been willing to do that. Now, will that pain get so great that he's going to have to? Maybe, but he's also 28 years old now, so time's running out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if any of these guys, if the top guys, if they're playing him and it gets tight, if it's like, if it gets to a stage where the match is tight, and you're the coach, you're going, make sure you find his forehand. If you find his forehand, he won't hurt you, and eventually he'll give you a shot to go after. If your backhand is your best shot, you won't win slams.
That was our problem, Fred.
Yeah, that was it. I completely agree with everything that Cal is saying. And I mean, it's just a statistical fact that the forehands to backhand winners ratio it's massive. The same with Djokovic. Nobody dominates matches with their backhands. They don't. It just doesn't happen. And to the point of not changing with Zverev, athletes are pretty fickle people, and in his mind, you said he's been brought up to be the superstar, but he's also won a lot, like a lot, and he had a match point to win a slam, so he can be forgiven for thinking that what he does is kind of working, because he does consistently been going deep, and it does take quite a little bit of convincing you, maybe it's something that's fundamentally that I fundamentally need to change. Or you can also say, I was a little bit unlucky on this day, or on this day the guy executed, and it's so easy to get caught up in those things. And it takes something special. I mean, we saw that the greats of the sports are the ones that are proactive in this. Tiger Woods changed his swing a few times after winning slams. You saw Federer being very proactive in the way he started changing his game, first coming to the net a lot more, then he started taking his backhand a lot earlier, and that gave him some success as well. But it's not easy. It takes an elite mentality, and that's maybe why he's a little behind, because that fine line between confidence and, for lack of better word, delusion is so close that if he maybe was able to surrender to the fact that, to quote Cal, his forehand was gunk, maybe he would be more proactive. But maybe he's also holding on to all those successes because he's won the World Tour finals. He had a match point in a Grand Slam final. He's been in a few Slam finals. So if you are there, you can be forgiven to think, I'm just there. Maybe I just need a little bit something next time, or maybe if that point goes my way. And it's not that easy to surrender to having a whole deep, fundamental, what do I need to change talk with yourself.
I think with all these guys who we're talking about there, Medvedev and Zverev and Rublev and any of the other guys who are around, is Fritz and these guys, is that what they don't have is their bottom level isn't good enough anyway. And their top level, I don't even think is good enough. Like if you go back, say 10 years. No, but if you go back 10 years, you had these guys, you had guys. So you had the big three. You had Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, and then you had Murray, who you could say wasn't quite on their level, but he wasn't far off. If they dropped a little bit, Murray was right there, ready to take it, and he'd beaten them when they were playing well throughout their careers. And then you had a couple of wild cards in Wawrinka and Del Potro, who you would say maybe their bottom level wasn't as good as the other guys, but if they played their top level, even if the other guys played their top level, there was a chance that Del Potro and Wawrinka could beat them. We don't have any of those guys. We don't have any of those people anymore. Like who would you say if they play their top level is going to win a slam? I don't think there's anyone out there.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, though, in the German Daily Mail tomorrow is going to have Zverev's forehand is gunk, Calvin Betton.
Oh, so.
I know I sound like a broken record, but Holger's best level can compete with those guys at the best, but it's not the best level that wins you the slam, I feel like, because you said it when the girls were on. they all face adversity during the tournament, right? Everybody that wins the tournament faces adversity, yes, but everybody that loses faces adversity too. So it's just part and parcel of the game. And the good quality teams are the players as well in any sport, like in football. The attack wins your games, and the defense makes you not lose the game. And it's the same here in tennis. The low level makes you not lose the matches, and the top level will win you the matches. And the big defense, the top level, that is vital to get you through 7 matches in a Grand Slam level. I'm completely convinced of that, and that's where the difference is, in my opinion. I think these guys, the modern guys, they're able to hit the ball better than we've ever seen in history. I think they're also great athletes and very strong, but that consistent level of the guys, and you haven't even mentioned the Söderlings, the Berdisches, the Nishikoris, all these guys that were just so unbelievably good and competitive. They had such a high basement of level.
I'm going to have to jump in and move this, because one of the things I've always said is about us giving equal time to the men's side and the women's side.
I hope not, as we're going to be here tomorrow night.
And we're not going to be able to on this occasion. However, we did have Gaby and Erin on for 30 minutes, so that kind of equates out. But Aryna Sabalenka, Fred, it was our pick, both of our picks. Just to put it out there, we did both pick Sinner, so we deserve a slap on the wrist.
I think we picked Swiatek, Dan.
Oh, sorry, you picked Swiatek. I picked Sabalenka.
Freddie.
Sorry, yes. So you got it wrong. I got it right.
Did you?
That's
No,
we
need VAR on this one. I think we need VAR on this one. I think we both went Swiatek.
No.
Dan's got selective memory.
No, you can all go back and listen. 100%. Harry, producer, you need to make a video of this to prove it to Freddie. Otherwise, he won't trust me again. I promise you, I picked Sabalenka. You
Harry's just going to superimpose Sabalenka over Dan's lips.
Listeners, you can write in. You can write into Freddie. Fill his DMs up if you can find him on any social media.
This is just your MO. This is what you do every time. You try to create this narrative where you make magic choices.
And Sabalenka against my forever dark horse, Anisimova, who's no longer a dark horse as world number 4 in the final. But yeah, Aryna Sabalenka, she got highly emotional when she won, Candy. It felt like this one meant a lot to her. I believe the first time since 2014 since Serena Williams to go back to back at the US Open. And yeah, there's been 10 winners, I think, in the last 10 years, maybe. So
crazy.
It's all of a sudden she's done that, and big shout out to her and her team.
Amazing. She added Max Mirny in, didn't she? And I think she was really emotional because she hadn't won a major all year, and people were starting to think about others coming into the equation. But a word for Anisimova, she looked absolutely devastated, didn't she? It must be so hard to lose a major final, but she looked just like she was ready to sort of end it there and then. It was pretty hideous to watch. It was worse than Wimbledon, I felt, just because at Wimbledon you could feel terrible sympathy for her, but she just looked so devastated. It was kind of a completely contrast, wasn't it, in this delighted, happy Sabalenka and just like this most morose Anisimova. But I'm sure Anisimova's going to win. She's got to win some.
I think she's the youngest. I heard somewhere that she's the youngest woman since Serena Williams to make back-to-back or 2 slams in a calendar year.
And amazing coming back from that break that she took.
And Cal, did you see the final? Did you see the later stages of the women's event?
I did, yeah. I watched it. Yeah, I thought it was a good match. Not in terms of, the level was pretty up and down. I thought it was quite an entertaining match. There was some good drama. I think kind of that might be why Anisimova looked a bit more devastated than Wimbledon. Like Wimbledon, you kind of get the feeling, when I'm sure we've all, maybe Freddie's not, but I'm sure we've all been on the bad side of a couple of good hide-ins on the tennis court. And you kind of you kind of get to know like pretty early, I'm playing terrible here. They're much better than me. And, you're on a sort of survival, let me just try and get the best out of this I can. So like the emotion kind of goes out of it, where I think yesterday or a couple of days ago with Anisimova was that she wasn't that far off And I think that was a devastating thing. I think, we've been there
She
as
didn't
well.
serve well.
No, but I think
I heard her say afterwards that she was struggling. She was struggling with was the roof over?
yeah, she was saying something about the roof. Yeah, but
It is really hard. I remember the girls played their 2023 final under the roof, and during the match warm up, I threw the ball up a couple of times, and I was like, "Whoa!" It's
yeah.
weird, just a completely different
Yeah.
look that you have, and Anisimova probably hasn't experienced that before.
I think it was, and I think it was like that. Quite similar actually to Luke and Sanders' match that we played, where it was kind of like it was more devastating because you thought if we could just have found 4 or 5% more, it probably would have been enough. And I think that was the case with Anisimova, that she certainly towards the end of the match, I think she thought she kind of got back in it. And it was just, if I could just find a little bit more. And I think that's what left her so devastated, was that she just couldn't find that. She didn't have to play like 9 out of 10 tennis. Things, she was probably playing like a 6 out of 10, but if she could have found a 6.5 or a 7, it probably would have been enough. But, I think that can often be more devastating. I hope she wins one. I think it's a really nice story, and she's quite a charismatic girl who is good for the game. I got to say, I struggle with Sabalenka. I struggle with her as a person. I struggle to watch her. I think the noise she makes makes it unwatchable at times. Although interestingly, when she was winning, there was no grunting the other day. And I struggle with her. She's a hell of a tennis player.
She's almost like when you have like a group of friends at school, and there's one girl, she's like the popular girl at school, and everything's completely fine when everything's going that girl's way. But when it's not, the whole school knows about it. I think she's probably quite an intimidating person to play because of that as well. The one thing I will give her credit for, and this goes into a bigger conversation maybe about teams around players. She said, "My team don't get offended." She goes, she tends to say these things when she wins, right? But she basically said, "Look, in the press conference, I know that I'm a nightmare, but I'm very lucky I've got a team who take me for what I am, and they don't get offended." And I guess there's then a line on what you take as well as a coach and a team around players.
But I mean, she's been pretty bad on that before as well. I've seen her in post-match interviews when she's lost, and she said things like, "Oh, like maybe my team should have scouted her better, and we would have found that out." And I'm thinking, like, what are It's just not something that you would say, And I struggle with it. I struggle with it. She made some pretty bad comments last year about the Saudi Arabia situation, where she kind of brushed everything off. I thought they were pretty bad on the basis that they've always been nice to me, so I don't have any issue. And and I think
drag me back in here, Calv.
and I think she kind of gets away with it, because she does some dancing on TikTok. Like, no, be better than that. Listen, I'll stress this. I think she's good for the game. She's a big personality. She's recognizable, and she's a star. To be fair, I don't have any problem with that.
She's a star, yeah.
Yeah, I think that she's excellent for the game. Doesn't mean we all have to like her.
And Anisimova, Freddie, lost love to Iga Swiatek in the final at Wimbledon. The next big match she played, it was a quarterfinal at US Open. Quite incredible, I think, how she's responded from that. I think that a lot of people could have suffered from that quite a bit, but it feels like quite quickly she brushed that off, and she found Iga in front of her again. I'd watched the match before that when she played Haddad Maia, and that's one of the things I actually love about the US Open. When you get back at night, you put ESPN on and you get the night match. It's a nice kind of end to the day. And it was devastating how she was hitting that ball. It was like, oh, wow. And I thought, I don't know how Iga's going to handle this, to be honest. But for her to be able to jump back on that court and then take Iga Swiatek out a few weeks after the Wimbledon finals, pretty impressive, huh?
Very impressive. But like Candy said, she didn't seem too devastated at Wimbledon. It was very strange to me. I thought she was going to be more heartbroken, but she kind of seemed like she was she resigned to the fact that she wasn't feeling good. Her body was dead, and it was just it seemed like it was easy for her to write that off as a kind of, I wasn't ready to play. I almost got the feeling like, I kind of got the feeling that if it was a second round, she probably would have retired after the first set, but maybe battle it through because it was a final. So my feeling after that match was that she was pretty quickly over it, and so I actually didn't have any. I didn't think it was gonna sit that deep, but still to go out and revenge it, and maybe she had this, I said that I was dead and I could have performed better. Now I'm gonna show everybody I'm feeling good. I'm hitting the ball big, and obviously we know her history about the break she took and she got away from the game. Maybe that added some perspective to her understanding of wins and losses as well. That has helped her. You never know, but she definitely handled it very maturely and was able to come back, yeah, maybe even stronger in the U.S. Open. So it's very impressive, and it shows signs that she might be there to stay at the top of the game, which is, I think, very exciting because she has a good story. I like her story.
Candy, I do want to mention Coco Gauff as well. I think Coco. I was actually in Monterey the week after Cincinnati, and I was in the gym. Gaby wasn't lying, the hotel gym, and on the TV in the hotel gym in Mexico was Coco Gauff having a one-on-one private lesson with this biomechanic, Gareth, and the rest of the team. And I was like, what? And so they were showing footage from the US Open. Now, they chose to do it on the first court, that P1 that the whole world sees.
Yes.
It's been televised. I'm literally watching, and it was like watching someone have a private lesson on their serve. It was very bizarre. 4 days before US Open. I'm not saying don't work on your game, but do it on I saw Felix the morning that he was playing De Minaur working very specifically on something on his backhand, but it was on the far court indoors at the USDA Centre that has no cameras on it. And then we saw her break down in tears, I think in the second round, maybe third round, clearly feeling a lot of stress. And then who did Coco lose to?
She lost to Naomi Osaka.
Exactly, who, has obviously had a fantastic comeback. Now, what's going on with Coco Gauff? To sack your coach 4 or 5 days before the Grand Slam, to then bring in a biomechanic at the last minute, to then be doing it so out in public, to then she admitted she had a panic attack on the court. It feels like things were starting to rush a little bit for her. And
well, this is what happened according to her press conferences. So it was Gavin McMillan. And I'd love to know his background, because somebody who I know was looking into him and said, I think he had an economics degree, but they couldn't find anything else about him. Sure. So it's odd. But
I've seen him with Sabalenka. He was at the WTA finals with
definitely.
Sabalenka last year.
So I think he's been on Sabalenka's payroll for the last couple of years, including working out her yips. So Coco Gauff said that he suddenly became available, and she snapped him out right then and then wanted to get to work immediately, which is why you saw them during that first week. And she didn't play the US Open Reimagine mixed doubles because she was working on the new serve and the new forehand with Gavin. But it was all very public, which I think we all found really surprising, because there were a lot of tears, a lot of things going on in practice. Like you said, the old coach, Matt Daly, was fired. He was working with Elliot Spitzeri, because he was there doing qualies. And then JC Forel, who ESPN said had also split with Coco, was then on her court as well. And they panned right to him, but they obviously didn't quite know who JC Forel was, because he's obviously still working with Coco. So the whole thing was bizarre. But what I understand is that Sabalenka, for some reason, got rid of Gavin, and pretty much the day that happened, Coco signed him and said, let's start working on it right away. I think her dad was influential in this decision. But it did seem very sort of open and bad timing to me, and she seemed like an emotional wreck. So I'm not sure it was the right idea.
I thought the stuff when they were on the court in the rain was just performative nonsense. The coach should have just called that and taken it inside. It's ridiculous. Like, you can't be stood in the rain shadowing serves and going through that kind of thing. Even when it's not raining, it looked like the detail they were going into before a tournament was absolutely ridiculous. Like, and I really, it actually angered me a little bit. And I think you get some coaches like this. I think he knew there was a camera on him. He was taking advantage of it. and it was rubbish. If you want to work on some sort of things during on your skill set during the tournament, there's ways of doing it. You can, I always think it's best to go and work on like feelings or sensation coaching. You're going to say, you're going to drive up more or something like this, or Louis has some phrases like slow to fast rhythm. He has this thing about rhythm and momentum, and you can improve that during a tournament. They're kind of like fixes that you can do. But if you're going into details on service technique, and you're talking about where the elbow is, where the shoulder is, that kind of thing, come on,
difficult.
It's just terrible. And I had a little look into this guy, what he's done, and I don't want to offend anybody.
Go on.
No, I just, I looked at it. Look, listen, Sabalenka's actually improved her serve quite a lot. She definitely had some yips. I don't know how much that was down to the guy or not. But other than that, I don't know what his track record is. And the guy she had before that, who was, I mean, I don't know who's advising Coco. Her dad seems like an all right bloke, but I don't know, who's bringing them in. But again, I think this is the case with a lot of pro players. Like the guy before that was marketing himself as a grip coach. Like, what what's that?
Is that to use John X. Wilson?
I don't know, but it's like, what does he do? Does he know stuff about grip? This is
Size 3.
This is a continental.
You're size 4.
There's a continental. What should I do with that? I don't know.
You just find that with the little finger fits when you put the hand around.
And I thought, like, come on. But then I had to look into his like background and stuff, and I'm like, how are these people getting jobs? It's just a blag. It's a bluff, and then to say that he's working with a biomechanist and that kind of thing, like, listen, just go and if you want to change your serve techniques, there's plenty of really good tennis coaches out there. Just go and get one. I think that when these players go higher up, they get into that top level. And I know some journalists and they're friends of mine and that kind of thing. They love this kind of stuff. They love the, he's working on the serve technique. It's a biomechanist. It's a grip coach. They love that kind of stuff. It's nonsense. Get a tennis coach. Tennis coaches know how to teach serves. Good ones know how to make them better.
The only personal thing that I would add, and I love the US Open, and there's maybe a reason for that as well. You love places where your players have success, but the US Open and any Grand Slam, there is so many things, and this is someone who's coaching doubles, which doesn't have the spotlight on it anywhere near the same as these top singles players. But there's so many things that you are managing, to the fact that I've basically slept for 2 days since I've come back. From tickets to the noise to getting in and out of Manhattan to, it's just the crowds that you're walking through. There's just so much that goes on. And I can't even start to imagine the golden girl of American tennis, who's the pin-up on the posters, who's probably asked to do the most incredible amount of media, the morning shows, the evening shows, the whatever shows, and Coco is
The lunchtime
really
shows.
Yeah, and she is cool, man. She is such a cool girl, and I completely get it. I completely get why people would want Coco to do all of that. To then throw another thing in the mix 4 days before that is potentially going to bring more stress seemed like a bad decision, and I think, the reaction that we saw on the court shows that it probably was, retrospectively, it wasn't the right decision. If she's gonna be making those changes, they're that wholesale changes, do it in your off season, and I hope Coco, just like last year, she tends to be better when her back's against the wall a little bit, and people start to write her off a little bit. And I've got no doubt that Coco will come back strong the rest of this year as well. There's lots of players I'd love to talk about, but we have to go, guys. We really do. Freddie, you've got a Davis Cup tie to win.
Good luck, Freddie.
Thank you.
Who's your number 2?
Well, I haven't picked a team yet, but it's either Elmer Müller or August Holmgren.
The journalist.
It's only because I'm doing the commentary.
Well, time will tell. Either Elmer Müller or August Holmgren.
Yeah. All right. Hope it goes well, Freddie.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, guys. Thank you so much for your time. That was awesome. And
You got it.
yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back. It might not be till 2026 for the Australian Open, but yeah, big thank you to you all.
You got
Cheers,
it.
guys.
Take it easy.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks,
Good luck
guys.
to everybody.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
So there we have it. Aryna Sabalenka wins her 4th Grand Slam, her first of 2025, and her birthday twin, May the 5th. Carlos Alcaraz wins his 6th, and he's only 22 years old, his 2nd of the year. Himself and Jannik Sinner have now won 4 each in the last 2 years. That came through loud and clear. Are we relying too much on the rivalry of Sinner and Alcaraz, or is it even a rivalry, as Calvin Betton would say? But I think one thing's for sure, there's not many men out there, if any, that can really challenge both of them right now. But what a joy it is to watch Carlos Alcaraz playing with a smile on his face, going for his shots. What a great way for this new breed of tennis players to be looking up to and seeing the way that he plays that game, the way that he creates those shots, the way that he does with such a joy on his face. Not an easy thing to do, as I know, as many people know. But my final words have to go to Gaby Dabrowski and Erin Routliffe. You know, anyone that does know about their story of the last 2 years, you know, Gaby had breast cancer last year, has overcome that, has been through that, and the way that Erin stood by her side and supported her throughout that. Erin then got broken ribs at the end of last year, and then Gaby thought, well, I'll have some of those broken ribs as well, and her ribs got broken around about February time this year. So they have overcome a lot of illness, they've overcome a lot of injuries, but they are just incredible women that have really just gone and above and beyond to bring it all together. And for me to be lucky enough to be a small part of that team, they get my final word on this special edition of the US Open 2025. We love you girls. Let's keep working. There's lots more that you guys can achieve together. We will be with you with more over the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, we move into Asia. The tennis never ends. You know, some people are playing Davis Cup this week. We then have the Laver Cup, and then we move into the Asian swing before we then come back towards the indoor season for the men, but it edges closer to the WTA finals for the WTA players as well in Riyadh, which I'm going to be really excited. And if you like it, get in touch with us. Let us know if you want us to be bringing lives from Riyadh again. My last play, YouTube, Control the Controllables. You get to see our ugly mugs now as we speak to you as well. And we're having loads of little clips going out there. So please, if you're not subscribed to YouTube, please get on there. The more subscribers we have, the more that we will bring to you, the more live opportunities that we will open up for you to be involved with what we're doing at the podcast and giving you access to all of these incredible athletes. But until next time, I'm Dan Kiernan, and we are Control the Controllables.